Hello and welcome to Is There Something in This? The weekly writers meeting between me, Scott Dooley, he, Jason Chatfield, as we come up with our batch of cartoons for the New Yorker. And this is transatlantic.
Yeah, very first transatlantic full episode. Scott is coming to you live from gay Paris. And I'm coming to you from gay Alphabet City.
Do you know how gay Paris is? That America refuses to bake its cakes. That's why the pastries, and now legally they don't have to.
It's now legally binding, yes. How is it? I'm very jealous.
This might be a bit noisy because I where I'm staying is there's a little laneway. And
of course there is.
This laneway is the place where teenagers come to smoke weed and yell. It's fantastic. They just sit down. And dickheads look the same all around the world.
Don't they?
Like, it doesn't matter where you are.
Yeah.
You can just pick someone and go, oh, you're a dickhead. Like, there's always, like, a bum bag and, like, a calf tat and, you know.
Yep.
It doesn't matter where you are. You could be at Campbelltown in Sydney. You could be in the Marais in Paris. You could be on the F train in New York.
Yep.
You just you're there and you're, oh, you're a little rat
It's
bag.
like there's a uniform. It's like they all go to the same rat bag store to dress the exact same.
Yeah, they all dress like Cursor, a very unknown Australian rapper. But
That's a very deep reference.
it's a very niche reference.
Yeah.
So you have some news.
We have some news. We, after much back and forth and throwing around ideas, we've sold a cartoon to the magazine, to the New Yorker.
Oh, fantastic.
Yes.
Good on us.
Now, we can't actually say what the cartoon is until it runs in the magazine because they buy exclusivity on it for 90 days. But as soon as it does run, we'll let you know exactly what the cartoon was. I guess a hint is that we did talk about it in episode 8. So I've actually cut it out of episode 8 in the MP3 now. So if you
so this is like a Kanye West album where it's just changing.
Yes.
Constantly.
Totally. So I will, as soon as it runs in the magazine, I will paste the audio into that week's episode so you can hear us coming up with the idea. But I thought it was a cracker.
No, let's throw to it. We'll throw to it.
Oh,
yeah,
we'll
great.
go,
oh, this is the thing. Yeah.
That's a great idea.
Instead of having weird scavenger hunts.
Well, we've had interesting readers sort of go back, listeners I should say, go back and listen to older episodes and then send us suggestions based on the older episodes. So as we have this cumulative
is essentially
backlog.
a show where you and I kind of throw each other ideas and then the other one will punch it up. And then now a third mystery kind of party is coming in to punch up stuff that we've already punched up, which seems... I don't like that, to be honest.
It's like they're going through our garbage, which has already been eaten and digested and... You know, it's sewerage, not garbage. Let's be honest.
Is it true that you have been palling around with Aziz Ansari?
I wouldn't say palling around. Last night I was at the Comedy Cellar. I'd done a couple of spots and I was hanging out with some comedy mates. And here's why I was there. You'll remember back in, I think, episode 4, Outside Steve, who's the manager at the Comedy Cellar, he pitched us an idea for the show. And it was almost indecipherable. And you were struggling with it.
I was perturbed.
Perturbed is a good word for it because you really were trying to make it work. And it was a difficult one to make work. It was very verbose. It was a little bit obscure.
It's my white whale. I'm gonna crack it.
Well,
it's not an overnight job.
Absolutely not. And to that end, he was sitting there at the bar desperately trying to make this joke work. So he's poring over it, and he was incensed that you're not allowed to use speech bubbles in New Yorker cartoons. And I said, Steve, you've got to pick a moment in the cartoon to depict so that it's not a back and forth. This isn't Marmaduke. You have one line. You've got very little words. And so he's poring over this thing, trying to fix the word economy. He's trying to make the gag work. We drew it in chalk on the bar, as you can do at the Comedy Cellar, and he was just exhausted by the end of it. So
I love that he said, "I've had this great idea for a New Yorker cartoon." When there's evidence to suggest he's never seen a New Yorker cartoon.
Exactly. That's the thing. I'm like, when was the last time you read The New Yorker? He's like, oh, I don't read The New Yorker. Well, what? Well,
it's like someone traveling from Iceland
Yeah.
to represent Iceland in javelin. Because it's always been my dream to go to the Olympics for javelin. And then when they arrive at Japan for the Olympics in 2020, they're like, oh. No, I didn't realize this was javelin. I thought it was something else. There's been a huge waste of my life.
He's got a frisbee. He just arrived with a frisbee.
he turns up with a frisbee. Oh, I was watching California Games, not Olympic Games. That was the computer game I was playing.
So he is listening. Hello, Steve. And
G'day,
he
Steve.
Insists that it's going to work, and he really wants us to draw it up and make it work.
I'm completely with Steve on this, Jason. We can make it work.
I think we can. So we're going to draw it up and keep an eye on my Instagram at Jason Chatfield so you can sort of see where we arrive with this insane cartoon of God talking to a small boy with a kite in a tree.
And Steve, when I'm back in New York, I'm going to come in. He and I are going to have an intense writing session.
Yeah. Is there something in this live from the Comedy Cellar?
Live from the Comedy Cellar.
Yeah.
And one of the hosts isn't in it.
The Aziz thing is we were just sitting there and the table with the mythical table at the Comedy Cellar was the Will Sylvince was hosting the show and Joe List and Miran Kagani and some other comics were there. But then I noticed one Aziz just pop up out of nowhere and just sort of sit there, and he was going through his notes and he went down.
Did he do a spot?
And did a spot. This is about 11:30 at night, midnight on a Monday. So,
according to reports, that's when he does his best work.
Oh, there it is. So I was back on the circuit, I suppose. Yeah, I'm not sure if he ever left, really, but it was, I don't know. It's nice to see him back in the old.
Did you talk to him at all?
Oh God, no. I made that mistake once before with Chris Rock and Louis C.K. They were both sitting there. And I was just up at the bar, and I'd done my third show for the night nearby, and it was a real shit show. And I was drinking my sorrows away, and I glanced over, and Chris Rock looked at me, and I'll never not regret this. And my brain was going, don't do it, don't do it, don't do it. And so was the bartender. And I went over and I just said, listen, and you know when you hear words are coming out of your mouth, and you hear them coming out of your mouth, and you just want to grab them out of the air and stuff them back into your brain, but it's too late. I said the words, I'm a comic. Oh God, I'm so sorry. And then I just backed away and went back to the bar and just buried myself in whiskey.
Wow.
It was awful. Because I just wanted to say thank you to both of them for everything they've done. You know, they're very instrumental in my comedy education, I suppose. And
that's
and
so.
fandom.
I would never in a million years ever consider doing that.
That's the thing. Neither would I. But that night, I was so drunk and exhausted. Yeah. You know, it just I don't know what came over me, and my brain, whatever that thing in my brain was in my frontal lobe that said, "Don't do it, Chatfield. Don't do it. Don't you dare." Is that
how you met your wife? Did you walk over and go, "Hey, I actually, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry." And she just took pity on you and went, no, it's okay.
I think I do that on a daily basis, yes.
You wake up every morning. Just getting in front of today, honey. I am so sorry.
That's too real. Actually, I woke up today and she goes, honey, just so you know, in your sleep you were talking and you were just repeating the word exhausted. Take care of yourself, please. I was like, geez, okay.
That's
exhausted.
Hey, let's do some. I want to pitch you some.
Yeah.
jokes.
What have you got this week? What do you got?
So, and this is more just it's kind of more thematic than the specific.
Okay.
But the fact that everyone is calling everything content now.
Oh my
everything
God.
is content.
Yes.
Um,
Did you see the John Mayer music video to New Light?
No.
Number 1 on trending. He was parodying the very concept of content as it pertains to
Oh, well,
everything.
maybe it's a bit done
now.
then. Oh, okay.
Well, no,
it
keep
might
going,
be a
keep
bit
going.
done. Oh, if John Mayer's doing it, it's probably cutting edge comedy. The idea that the idea that I had was a ransom note and a detective saying the kidnapper left this content.
That's great.
or like one or another. The caption I had is it's called Content Now, Jim. Like the idea of like a detective having to kind of bring the older detective up to speed.
I've got it.
I actually think.
How about this? You know when you see these cold case shows and the detectives or an investigative reporter or someone goes into the archives and there's some guy at the front desk and they have to, get him to open up for them and go through these old archives.
Yeah.
What if it's just someone staring up at these giant archives, aisle upon aisle in a giant warehouse of archives, but instead of archives it just says content. Because it's for a podcast. I assume it's for some kind of crime podcast. One can only assume.
Or the Library of Alexandria is now known as like the place with the most content in the world.
The most content rich.
Yeah. I do like the idea kind of just being around here, you see kind of things like the Pantheon and the Louvre and stuff. And the idea of them like how gross it would be to try to make that like appeal to millennials.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, I don't know if you've been to the Louvre to see the Mona Lisa, but it is a fucking zoo. It's just thousands upon thousands of bodies trying to take selfies in front of a painting.
The favourite thing I've ever heard at an art gallery was at the Louvre, and there was, you can always pick the Australians because we travel so poorly, and there's always, no matter where you go, there's always some dickhead in a Richmond jumper, like or a footy jumper.
That's a truism.
And there was this guy, and he was walking away from the Mona Lisa with his wife, and he goes, "Is that it? There's way bigger paintings over there."
That's perfect.
It was just such. I'm so glad I was there. That's
amazing. That sounds like my Uncle Greg from Altona. Fucking joking, aren't you?
He's funny. Yeah, he leaves you weird messages because he knackers and stuff.
He's been doing it all week this week because he wants me to draw a mate of his. And so he leaves me these messages just going, "Mate, need you to fucking draw someone for me." And it just...
Every relative thinks our lives are a corporate gig where they go, "Hey, make sure you mention the manager likes golf," which happens at every single corporate. And that's what uncles are like. Hey, if you get a chance on the radio, can you call my mate Johnny a bit of a tight ass? Don't worry, he'll get it.
That's literally what this is. It's me drawing his mates. Oh, and this bloke, he dresses like he fell out of a fucking Christmas tree.
Great. That's great. That doesn't mean anything, but it's great.
I love that. So content, the Library of Content instead of the Library of Congress, maybe.
The Library of Content or Alexandria. I don't mind the idea of it being called ransom content. Like, I think there's something in that as well. But that idea of, relabeling stuff as content.
Yeah. I think crime, I think there's something very funny about or absurd about using crime.
That's right. Like, to have something so
the detective is trying to say to give his report, or an investigator give his report on the scene, and then the lead detective's going, no, save it for the pod.
It's not bad. It's not bad.
Save it for the podcast.
Maybe it's like a police press conference, and for the victim's whereabouts and what he was wearing, make sure you subscribe to our podcast.
On iTunes.
Like on iTunes. Please rate and review this on iTunes.
Like us on Facebook. Rate and review. That's great.
That's
I love it.
This one's very dark, and I think you'll shout it down. But a vet coming out of surgery looking quite forlorn, and a sad-looking family in the waiting room. And the caption is, well, on the upside, now you have a spirit animal.
Oh! Now, I'm not going to shout it down. Exactly. Obviously, the death of animals in cartoons is a very, very difficult and unpopular topic. I think I'm understating that.
That's very diplomatic.
Yeah. But I must say some of the funniest cartoons I've ever seen are about animals that have either passed on or
I don't
are
think
in the
we should be
process
the.
of.
I don't think you and I should be the standard of what is and isn't funny to the wider populace, though.
I was trying to. You can probably help me with this. I was actually trying to come up with a gag about a dog bringing his owner the paper, but the owner being so much happier since the dog died because he's not reading the news anymore.
Oh, that's.
But
Yeah,
it involves a
that's
dead
nice.
dog. So there's like, a little cross in the backyard, and the wife's saying, I don't know, Gerald's been so much happier since the dog died, and there's a pile of papers out the front.
Yeah,
at the door,
yeah.
like-
I think that's very. It's glib.
Yeah. I wonder if if there's a way where the dog's alive, where the dog's there's all these holes, like he's buried the paper every day instead of the dog's dead, like he's been burying the newspaper every day, and the guy's happiness has gone up exponentially.
Or has his neighbor trained his dog to take in the paper, and he's very depressed, and then his dog is such a layabout.
I feel like
Or
we've
like-
added
or
too
I've
many
got a-
layers to it now.
Or I've got a cat. Yeah.
Yeah, since I got a cat instead of a dog. So as your cartoon, the spirit animal, I like the idea that the vet is desperately just trying to spin it into a positive. Like,
Yeah.
well, the good news is, it's like that doctor saying, the good news is they'll probably name it after me.
What if it's maybe that's a bit real? Like it is probably a bit real to see the thing. What if it's a pet cemetery and the slogan is where spirit animals are born?
That's better. Yep, that's way
Be-
better.
that's-
Because you don't
that's
have
way
to
better,
show
isn't
the
it?
death of a pet.
Yeah, because it's so confronting, and everyone
Yeah.
that's been like my mum just lost her dog,
Oh,
and
no.
yeah, it's really they break your heart.
They do. They're part of the family.
They are part of the family. So and so to show that is probably a bit real, isn't
Sure.
it? Yeah.
I mean, that's the thing, is that in the same way as doing a joke about cancer, there's always someone who's had an experience first or second hand with cancer. It makes it tricky to do any material about it because, it's a trigger. Speaking of which, by the way, you and I, as people will remember, we had a big, long chat about one particular cartoon about gun crime in America in the last
That's right.
episode, in episode
That's right.
9. And I was kind of playing devil's advocate saying, oh, what about this? Maybe cancer's a bit tricky as a trigger and all that sort of stuff. Went into the New Yorker, pitched it to the New Yorker cartoon editor. She, as expected, said, great message, but a bit grim. Here's what happened. I thought it's such a good cartoon. I'm going to ask the editor of Mad Magazine what he thinks. So I flicked it over to him and I said, listen, is this too grim for Mad? And I just got a one-line email back saying, I love it. I want it. So we...
yeah.
And I said,
Our
you know
kind
what?
of
That's why I
people.
love Mad. He bought it. So we sold that cartoon to Mad Magazine.
Oh, fantastic.
So,
good
I mean,
on
it's a
us. Look at us
happy
go.
ending for all.
Not often you can say that about cancer
And gun crime. You're right. Good call. See? Is there something in this where cancer and gun crime come together for a happy ending?
I like Pet Cemetery.
That's a
though,
great
with,
idea. I love it.
It's quite a Simpsons joke.
It
kind
is.
of like that. Yeah.
I was going to say
Which,
that.
I mean,
I didn't want to undermine. I didn't want to say it sounded like a Simpsons gag, but I don't think that's offensive at all. I think that's a big compliment.
Bad thing. Yeah,
Yeah.
that I paid myself.
Yes.
I got two more for you.
Great.
One is again just an idea. The idea. I was on a plane the other day, and when I was I just kind of got on with the kind of general. It was kind of a crazy boarding experience.
Okay.
We were going through the kind of first class area, and the guy in
Hello.
front of me turns around and he kind of gives me a bit of a look, like, because everyone's sat down in business class because they get on first.
Yep.
And he goes, I don't know why they spend this extra money. It just means they'll die quicker.
Jesus.
Oh,
wow.
wait. Oh, it gets better because I went,
Wow.
hopefully not, and took my seat in first class. And
Wow.
so it was really like, okay then, mate. Then when I
Wow.
was sat there, another person said, if the plane crashes, they die first. It was
Right.
like a real kind of justification of like, I'm glad I'm not sitting there. I don't know if there's something
Wow.
in that as
There's
an
so
idea.
much to that to unpack.
There is a bit.
Yeah. And it's difficult because, like, that idea, that Seinfeld episode where Jerry and Elaine have to fly back to New York from Florida he has first class, she has coach.
That's right.
And the comparisons they make between the two. Like, she misses the meal, there's a kosher meal, and then Tidbit, Larry David's voice goes, "That was my kosher meal."
That's right. Yeah.
The whole kind of comparison between first and coach is such a funny societal class system-esque miniaturization of, it's like a miniaturization of society where all of these boarding classes, just to begin with, like your premium diamond membership members are invited to board now, and anyone with children or
military personnel
or an
That's
interest
very
in
American
Scientology.
one, yeah.
It is. There was one, I think it was a Hafiz cartoon or something like that, or a Joe Data, and it was ruling class, and it was just a king up the front of the plane, like in his own section. It said ruling class.
You know what? I mean, Virgin Atlantic call it upper class.
Do they really?
Yeah.
They're not masking anything, are they? They're just saying
Maybe the joke, Jason, is like you said. There's so many boarding things.
Yeah.
Is if it is and now we are boarding passengers named Greg. Like, it gets so specific.
And there's a guy called Dave just slapping his head.
Going,
Damn it.
just by himself.
again.
Himself.
There are so many great cartoons that I love about boarding. Like, there's one by Paul Noth that's the announcer. Everyone's waiting at the gate, and the announcer's saying, "We'll begin by boarding anyone who needs a little extra time or who has a little extra money." That's pretty good.
That's a good joke.
And then also, I remember there was one that was everyone sort of boarding, and it was something like now boarding the the working classes or whatever it was, and it's just these people with like goats and like they're like herders, they're like cattle herders or something, and they've just got goats with them, and it's like the absolute lowest possible class, just boarding last.
Yeah,
All that's
like
left
the
in the
steerage, yeah.
right. And I can't remember. I'm massacring the joke. I don't remember who it was or yeah. But anyway, I think there's something in this. Yeah.
Yeah, I think there's something. Is there something in you know how like people fly standby?
Right. Yeah.
If the only seat, the only like left available, the only ticket that's left available is for wing walkers, and there's like a woman in like a 1920s like flapper dress, like because I'm forever just obsessed with that kind of that was a form of entertainment that they
It was, wasn't it?
have some incredibly glamorous woman in high heels and like a very nice dress walking on the wings of a flying plane. What a time.
That's insane. I just apropos of your idea.
There's
one last one by Amy Huang that was, "We're now boarding priority travelers. Please be ready to present an air of entitlement." And I think
That's not bad.
I think that's kind of along the lines of your situation where there's this sort of, this sort of feeling of, well,
That delineation, yeah.
I mean, I remember the first time I flew business class, I felt like a king, and there was no guilt at all for the people in coach.
I was like, fine, buddy. Yeah, you'll be fine back there too. So don't worry.
The idea of people dying first if it crashes, like, well, if we all die, it doesn't matter, does it? Who dies first?
They don't name the victims in order. That was always my problem when, like, if I ever got on a plane when I lived in Australia, where if there was a bigger celebrity than me on the plane, I'd always be shattered because I don't want to be like Carl Stefanovic and 300 people die. Fuck that.
Carl Stefanovic and 300 people. He wouldn't die. He's a robot. All right, so let's I don't know what the gag is for the cartoon, But I do.
I think the idea of the boarding very specific people is probably the strongest kind of.
Yeah. Totally. Boarding,
and maybe we make it incredible now. Boarding people named Greg who went to high school in 1997, and I don't know, maybe
make it something super specific.
It could be. I don't know. That could be a thing. The last one, which we've already talked about, but I don't know if we've talked about it on the podcast.
Okay.
Is the couple moving in at like a nice brownstone Upper East Side, kind of like they're moving in there, and the neighbors are there, and she is saying to her, as you know, husband's bringing in the boxes. Well, I mean, it's one of the best dog obedience school districts in the city.
I like this one.
In full disclosure, though, you and I have gone back and forth on this. Like,
Pre-pod, before we started the pod, we would throw this one around and try and make it work.
It's a good summer joke as well.
Yeah, I was thinking that, so I think we should pitch that. Yeah, I'll pitch that when I go in this week. Fingers crossed.
Now, what do you got?
All right. Now, one last boarding joke from Paul Noth. They're boarding. We'll begin boarding our first-class passengers after a 10-minute pause in honor of the even wealthier people who fly in private jets. It's very wordy, but I like it.
That's great.
Now, speaking of wordy, Scott, more good news.
Go on, then.
We've sold another one. We're on a roll, my
to
friend.
The New Yorker.
We have. We've sold another daily. And I'm not sure if we discussed this one on the pod. This might have been an outside of the pod one, but it was an idea that you had of the town crier in modern times. So it's still a town crier holding the scroll with the official emblem of the president or the king, as it were, and some villagers sort of gathering around to listen to what the town crier is to decree, except it's verbatim something Trump said.
Yes, that's right.
In this, I'm going to read it. Now, before I say this, I should let you know that an English professor had to pass this text and go through it to make it perfectly grammatically correct, as insane as it is. And then, when the New Yorker bought it, their own fact-checking and proofreading department went through it and had even more. They were like, it needs points and M dash, not semicolons, okay, dot, and then a comma. I'm, curly quote, I'm one of the smartest. You are, instead of your, curly quote, in you're a conservative. Now, and spaces in between the ellipses. Those poor proofreaders is all I can say. Because this cartoon is probably it would be up there with the longest caption in New Yorker cartoon history. I'm putting it out there.
Which is like, that is like a knife in my back hearing that.
Yeah. Well, the idea, my ideal cartoon is to have no caption at all.
Caption whatsoever. And I like kind of very short captions.
Of course. So this is because you're a good comedy writer. Brevity is the soul of wit. The caption reads, so it's the town crier holding up his scroll, and it reads, "Hear ye, hear ye. Look, having nuclear, my uncle was a great professor and scientist and engineer, Dr. John Trump, at MIT. Good genes, very good genes. Okay, very smart. The Wharton School of Finance, very good. Very smart. If you're a conservative Republican, if I were a liberal, if I ran as a liberal Democrat, they would say I'm one of the smartest people anywhere in the world. It's true. But when you're a conservative Republican, they try, do they do a number? This thing is verbatim a speech the fucking president gave to the world. It is the least congruous collection of words and thoughts. It's like the babblings of a broken Alexa. It's like, it's absolutely absurd, and the president of the free world said it. So, I mean, we put it in, we threw it in, and the editor just went, you know what? All right, we're just going to buy it. That's great. Just leave it as is. We'll proofread it. And you'll see that one on thenewyorker.com this week.
That's great. That's great. That's so silly.
It is very, very silly and horrendous. All right, so this week, here's what I've got this week. This is what I'm playing around with. Now, I'm not sure have we found the president's wife yet? Do we know where Melania is?
So I had jokes of this that I was just going to talk to you about after we'd done this.
By all means.
But what I was thinking is Serial Season 3, The Search for Melania.
The Search for Melania. That's great.
Like,
I
just
like
do
that.
this, yeah.
I do. I mean, I like the idea that it's always in the last place you look, and it's like the presidential library.
She's always in there, yeah.
It's like it's somewhere that he absolutely wouldn't go, like the presidential library. She's just been sitting there reading.
Yeah.
Also, the fact that this morning, we're recording this on Monday, the 4th of June, so the big news is that he has said over the weekend numerous times to numerous news agencies that he would exercise his God-given right to pardon himself, which is extraordinary.
So good.
He said that he would never he said that, I wouldn't have to do it because I'm not guilty, but if I did, I would. So I thought something about a toy, like a Donald Trump toy in the plastic, and it's the all-new self-pardoning president, and with amazing tweeting action or, like an iPhone accessory, it's welded to his hand. Self-awareness not included.
That's good. That's a good joke.
Something like, but a very visual kind of gag of just, all
in the
new.
box.
Because the idea of it, initially I started with like self-driving car, self-cleaning something, self-pardoning president.
Or pardon me, president. Like that's the name of it.
Yes, nice.
And then
like
the description
Elmo,
is
pardon me, president.
Yeah, pardon me, president. The
Right.
self-pardoning, because I think self-pardoning president's very
Amazing
good.
pardoning action. Yeah.
Yeah, with self-pardoning action.
That's great.
Self-pardoning is too good not to have on it, though.
It's just, it's such an insane thing that he's been saying. I like to someone like at a press conference going, beg your pardon? And he's like, denied. There's just something insane about him. He's always saying about witch hunts and all this stuff. I like the idea of like a witch tied to the post being burned alive going, I'm exercising my right to self-pardon on this one. Or like
that's not bad.
Jesus on the cross.
Joan of Arc. Yeah.
Joan of Arc, Jesus on the cross. I'd like to exercise my God-given right to pardon myself.
Yeah. I
Something
like the idea
ridiculous.
of Joan of Arc with at the stake, someone's coming in with the torch.
Yeah.
Is it too late to pardon me? Is it too late for me to pardon myself?
Yeah, let's do that. Let's push that. Let's do that as a cartoon for tomorrow.
Is it a bit dark
Maybe
though,
also,
Joan of Arc?
maybe we'll make it a witch. Because he's been saying it's a witch hunt for so long.
So she's on the chair about to be thrown into the sea. I'd like to
Right.
pardon myself.
Yeah, exactly. Actually, to that end, I had one that I wanted to bounce off you, which was a pirate. He's walking the plank, right? So you've got the captain with the parrot on his shoulder, and he's got the sword poking out at the guy on the plank, and the guy
real
on
cutlass.
a cutlass, exactly. And he's saying, "Now, are you sure you've spoken to Susan in HR about this?"
That's fantastic. Oh, that's so stupid. I love it.
Or that's him being let go.
I thought Susan from HR said I needed 2 weeks' notice. The idea that
3 warnings. 2 weeks,
Yeah.
2 weeks notice. That's not bad.
But Susan, yeah. I like the idea
Okay.
of like I thought I was going to receive a verbal warning. That's really funny though. I don't know. Maybe we're just
Or is it a
for the sake of
king
overthinking.
with the executioner? Just going back to the self-pardoning, is it a king with his head in the guillotine and the executioner's just about to, with the thing over his head, drop the guillotine, and the king is saying, "I'd like to take this opportunity to exercise my right to self-pardon." I mean, is it the king or is it a witch? Maybe it's the witch because he has been using the witch analogy for so long now.
I think witch is strong because I mean, if we're going to do that, then I mean, we could even make it more topical, like LeBron fouling out, and then him going, "Well, I'd like to just self-pardon that last block or whatever."
Yeah. All right, I've got another one. This is in the ever-increasing Jason Does Mobster Cartoons segment. For those of you who don't know, Scott and I have a very deep and abiding love for Goodfellas and all things Sopranos and gangsters. I thought, further to our discussion about trying to make the cartoon work of the shoes hanging over the power lines, I've got some power lines, and the caption over the top of the cartoon is Mobster Neighborhood, and the shoes hanging over the power line are cement shoes.
Oh wow!
Or is it the John Gotti line and they're actual Manolo Blahniks, but they're made out of cement?
Yeah.
A bit much. Anyway,
I like that. I don't mind that.
The cement shoes over the power lines.
I like the cement as long as like the power line is like really groaning under, like it's really warped under the weight of the shoes, like they like cinder block style.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly what I've drawn. Yeah, they're cinder blocks with little feet holes in them.
It's pretty silly.
It's very silly.
Yeah, I bet you can. Yeah, or like I bet you can illegally gamble around here. Or like.
Yeah, there's something. Something like that. Let's keep that one in the.
I think there's something there. Yeah.
I wonder if there's something in. You know, when people have their phone cover, their iPhone cover, in the back they've got these sleeves for their credit cards and ID, which to me is the most stupid thing. If you lose either one of those things, you're screwed. But the idea that the burglars, it's an invention they came up with. So like they're like, oh, it's so convenient now. They just package up the credit cards and IDs with the phone. It's fantastic. It's the most convenient thing for a thief. I don't know what the joke is, but it's just the absurdity that everyone seems to have that now.
Yeah, the joke. Yeah, like them, like saving more time. Like
like it saves so much time. Yeah, I can get 4 times more whatever done now that they've packaged it up for me. It's a package deal. Next one is a caveman cartoon, of course.
Maybe it's the mobile phone store is selling it as like the ruin your life package.
Oh, nice.
Hold your ID.
Yeah, completely helpless.
Your credit card. Your subway card, and your phone.
Yes, completely helpless package.
Yeah, you're completely helpless.
Yep. All right, I'm going to pitch that.
Yeah, I kind of like that.
I've got one of a caveman, inventor of fire, and then there's another caveman standing nearby saying, "Yes, but will it scale?"
I do like that.
Is it a bit hack? Has it been done? Because as soon as I thought of it, I was like, oh, surely that's been done.
You know me, I'm such a band. I love those kind of management
But you know me, like as soon as I come up with an idea that I think is good, I insist it's been done before.
I think...
Because fire
Didn't
does
we
scale.
have another caveman one, which was like all of the same images like 100 times, and it was like, here we have
the first
recorded detention or something.
Yeah, recorded signs of detention or something like that.
Yeah, I like that kind of. Yeah, will it scale is good, or will it scale is pretty good.
I mean, it's a modern term, I suppose, as far as commercialism goes.
Could it be God inventing the snake? Like,
yes, but will it scale? You goofball.
Yeah, that's a bit silly, though.
Is it a dragon? Yes, but will it scale? Oh, by the way, just a quick one. What if it's the gates of the White House, and you know how people stand out the front of the gates of the White House and take photos and things? What if on the sign on the gate, it's like a zoo fence? It's like, you know, the sign you see and it says, "Don't feed the ego," or "Don't feed the egotist."
It's got to be "Don't feed the ego."
Yeah, I think it's got to be "Don't feed the ego," but I don't know. I mean, it might be a little bit SS. So I think I've got one more for you, I've got a couple. So one of them's a woman trying on shoes in a shoe store, and it's one of those fancy Fifth Avenue kind of situations. And she's saying to the fancy-looking attendant, "Do you have these in cheap?" Because it's so, you know, it's like they're $4,000 shoes or something. Like Jimmy Choo's or whatever. And do you have these in affordable?
Yeah, that's good.
Or cheaper? Or do you have these in reasonable?
Do you have something that fits my bank balance? Yeah.
Fits my bank balance.
Fits my budget. Yeah. Oh, no,
it fits my shoe, but it doesn't fit my budget. That's a little bit,
Yeah, it's a bit, it's a bit much.
It's almost like an advertising tagline.
Yeah. I think that's pretty good, yeah.
Do you have these? Do these come in affordable?
Do these come in affordable? In affordable's good, yeah.
I think affordable might be what I was looking for.
Yeah.
All right,
these come in affordable?
And lucky last, I have... Sorry, go on.
What about a kid's book, Where's Melania? And it's like, Where's Wally?
I'd like you to go onto thenewyorker.com today, Scott. And
is that
see
literally
the
a joke?
Daily cartoon for today by Darren Bell. It's literally today's daily cartoon.
Oh,
I mean, it
Where's
bodes
Wally?
well for you. It's, that you're on the... It's Where's Wally, yeah. Yeah, reports that we'd found Melania have turned out to be incorrect. We'll keep you updated. And they've just got Wally. Anyway, the last one is...
What's going to be the problem here, though, Jason?
What's that?
If it turns out she's dead, if she died during this surgery... You know what I mean? Like this is I'm telling you right now, this is the great conspiracy theory of this presidency, is that she died during the surgery and they've just trying to be scrambling to find a lookalike that can keep a secret.
Oh,
wow. And that all the pictures of her will be with big sunglasses. Like this I'm just going through
big sunglasses.
the Twitter thread that she died and then
wow, yeah. Is there a Snopes thread about this already?
Oh, there will be after someone reports this podcast.
Bless them. So the last one I have, when you go to any kind of website now, an insurance website or a tech website or, like Verizon or whatever it is, there'll be a little box in the corner. It'll pop up and it'll say, chat with an expert now or chat with a guru now.
Yep.
And it's a bot. It's not always a real person. Very often it's just a bot. I like the idea of the mountain climber trying to find oneness, climbing to the top of the mountain, and there's just a laptop there that says, a guru will be with you shortly. In the meantime, please type your query into the box below, or tell us your name and your query today.
Yeah.
Or he gets to the top of the mountain and it's just a Google Home or an Alexa there.
Or an Alexa.
Yeah. I mean, we've been told already that we can't really use Google Home and Alexa and stuff like that in cartoons because of sponsorship conflicts. But
I do like that idea of finding yourself talking to a bot.
Yeah, like getting up there and it's just a bot. It's not a guru anymore. It's been outsourced to Google or it's been outsourced to something else. Like, people just ask Google everything now. Yeah, maybe we could just sell this cartoon to Google. It's just a guy climbing up to the top of a mountain to find a guru and it's just a Google Home up there. That's
Guru Home.
Guru Home. Look at you. Perfect. Have you ever been in advertising or radio? Now, if there's no more ideas that you want to expand upon, we can go to one of our favourite segments of all, which is suggestions.
Hey, you know what? Given how dark some of the ones we came up with today, we should say the offence rests and move into the listener suggestions.
The offence rests. Brilliant.
That could be a joke, actually. Like, if there's someone like discussing, like maybe like, I don't know, like alt-right would be your first thing, but maybe it's just someone that's like smoking inside and playing music and like the offence rests, Your Honour. Like
the offence rests. That's pretty good, actually. All right, so we've got one. We've got one through Twitter. Thank you. If you want to send in your suggestions, by the way, send them through Instagram or Twitter or Facebook. He said, hey there, loving the podcast. If you use this, please just call me Dave. Okay.
Oh, this is.
What am I, Hal
already
from 2001
I have some
A Space Odyssey? As a Kubrick film?
Follow-up questions for Dave.
All right. Hello, Dave. Please tell me your cartoon. All right. Work and all, he said. Is there something in this? Scene. Chinese restaurant. Stern white diners. One wearing an Aussie flag as a cape. Oh, boy.
Great.
At a circular table with heaps of uneaten dishes strewn across the table. Asian waiter standing dutifully at table with notepad with the cape man saying, fuck off, we're full.
That's actually very funny. I mean, we could never make it, but that is really funny.
Now, for those of you who don't know, for our American listeners, there are some Australians who, along the lines of, say, the Trump supporters of lock her up or ditch the witch or whatever. No, sorry, that was an Australian one, wasn't it?
That was
Julia Gillard, I think.
Yeah.
But fuck off, we're full is a bumper sticker. It's kind of the Make America Great Again of Australia. It's a very xenophobic tag that a lot of Aussies use very shamefully. So the idea of this obnoxious guy wearing an Australian flag cape in a Chinese restaurant just going, fuck off, we're full. It's just ridiculously...
It's very funny.
It's very funny. I feel like I just want to draw it just for myself. Very funny. Thank you, Dave. Now
That's
I understand
great,
why you
Dave.
didn't want to be named in full.
Yeah, and we would we would like to thank Australia's Foreign Minister Dave for sending that submission.
Oh, brilliant. Now, we've got one more,
right.
and it's from Paul. Let's just call him Paul.
This is really turning into witness protection this part now.
It's in case anyone tracks him down and gives them cement shoes. Is there anything in this? Hi, Jason. Thanks for reading my suggestion on the podcast last week. Oh, so this is a repeat suggester.
Oh, God.
That's great.
Oh, and how must people that are waiting to hear theirs feel? Now, bloody... All right, let's hear...
Fuck
I
off,
want to
we're
hear
full, Paul.
Yeah.
So as I say, we don't read these before the show, so I didn't realize this was a repeat suggestion. Anyway, this one is from my mum, Carmel. Oh, perfect.
Oh, this is Carmel.
So technically, it's not a repeat suggester. Thanks, Paul.
No.
Good on you.
Stand corrected.
Thanks, Carmel.
Apologies. Apologies, Paul.
I'll retract
Thanks,
the
Carmel.
offence. The offence rests.
Isn't Carmel a great mum name?
Oh, it's the best. It's such a mum name, isn't it?
Yeah,
Bloody Carmel.
yeah.
Oh, makes the
Carmel.
best cookies.
If you were to tell me Carmel smoked packets of cigarettes that only came in like 50 or above the packets,
Totally.
I'd go, yeah, that's such a Carmel move.
But you're making cracking pavlova.
Awesome Pav, and she can get through 75 darts in 2 days.
75 darts. Bloody Carmel, 75 darts a day, mate.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
All right.
It's a pack and a half.
All right. So here's the suggestion from Carmel. A city bike is complaining about their abandonment issues to a nearby shopping trolley. The shopping trolley is eye-rolling, having been there, done that for decades.
I don't mind that.
Yeah. City Bike, by the way, is a ride-sharing situation in New York. They have them in Paris, in Amsterdam, all over the world. I think they've been trying it in Melbourne as well for a while. But City Bike is the New York version. So I like that he's adapted it for New York. That's good.
They have City Bike, those ride sharing things, bike share things.
I rode around New York all of yesterday, all of Sunday on one. You get $12, you get it for the whole day, and you just lock in and lock out at different places.
You got to do every 25 minutes or something.
Yeah, but it's great. I love it.
Yeah, it's awesome.
I use it all the time, especially in summer. It's great. The idea of abandonment issues with maybe it's a city bike on the therapist's couch, saying, "Tell me more about these abandonment issues."
The thing is with city bikes is they're rarely abandoned.
No, I mean, like, once you use them, you just put them away. They're so one and done. Like,
yeah,
you just
the
use
ones
them
in
and then
Sydney, and there's ones here as well that just get left around wherever they are.
Oh, right.
Yeah. I think that's probably what they're getting.
That's absurd because it's so expensive. They charge your credit card if you don't dock it again. It's insane.
Not these other ones though.
They're
different. They're a different setup where you just leave them where you want and you just pick it up wherever you want.
Oh.
You know what I mean? There's no docking. It's not like the Velib here.
Yeah,
it's
right.
Like, yeah. Which is there's
That's bizarre.
Yeah. So there's all these. You see them in Sydney.
Mm.
They are fucking everywhere, dude.
Really?
They're just left everywhere because Sydney's so hilly as well.
Yeah.
People just get off and just go, oh fuck it, I'm just gonna walk. Like
fucking too many darts.
Too many darts. I've been on the darts with Carmel.
That's interesting. I didn't know about in Paris, have you noticed it's just a coin and a slot? It's very simple.
The thing is that these bikes have overtaken shopping trolleys as the number one things teenage boys will throw into bodies of water. I don't know if there's something in that. Like
we've circled right back around to douchebags.
That you get like if you walk along any body of water that has bike sharing, you'll see just the alluring hint of tire, kind of mossy tire, from some kids that were bored. Yeah.
What is it? Yeah, like city bike swamp.
Train
the swamp. It's just all city bikes. Yeah, I think. All right, so Paul, Carmel, I should say. Thank you for the suggestion. We'll have a mull over on that one and see if we can make something in this.
Do you reckon? I reckon. I'm feeling we've got a pretty strong group of.
I mean, every
things this
time you
week.
say that, we have a strong batch, and we go in with this vain hope that we're going to set the
Yeah.
building on fire and just be like, whoa, 4 with a PH.
4 with a PH. Yeah.
I think we've got a very strong batch this week. So I'll go in tomorrow.
Can also, just while we're here, if you've made it this far, you probably did listen to last week.
Right.
Can I? Last week
Yes.
was a bit bawdy.
Did you say bawdy?
Yeah, I felt like I was
do you mean?
swearing a bit more than normal.
Oh, I see. Bawdy. Well,
And there was a lot of like 72 Virgins work. I don't know.
Oh,
it just kind
yeah.
of got away from me that episode.
all right. Well, I mean,
I'm happy with it.
Sure.
But I just want to apologize if people are normally like, particularly people that like, because we're getting reviews in like,
Oh, yeah. I don't read the reviews. What are they like?
journalistic tomes and like,
Oh.
all these, people are mentioning us on all these kind of highbrow things
Oh,
because
dear.
they see the New Yorker and they think, but then they hear us and we're like, back in Collingwood, like.
Well, I mean, I would say let's not shy away from our true selves, but if we need to
Yeah,
clean it up, no worries.
This is the part of the relationship where Jason and I have farted for the first time, and we're like, all right, doing this now.
Yeah, all right, well, whatever. I'm not particularly perturbed if you're not.
No, I wasn't. No, I'm really perturbed. I'm just saying, like, this is how it is.
Yeah, righto. Yeah, welcome. And we're approaching the 1 hour mark, so if you've stuck with us this long, you're here for good.
Yeah, you're all right with it.
You're all right,
Yeah.
mate. Yeah. All right. Well, that's it for this week. That's all the suggestions. Thank you for sending them in. I'll let you go and enjoy your wondrous dinner in the city of blinding lights.
I've been smoking since I got here.
Of course you have, because you're French now.
Because I'm French, and I have no regrets. Normally, if I have a cigarette, I'm like, oh, why did I do that?
You've been
But now
sucking
I'm
back the
like-
darts.
Now I'm like, honey, put your exercise gear on. We're going to go and have a smoke. Smoke and a walk.
A smoke in the Lululemons. Perfect. You're one of them.
on that delightfully visual note.
All right. Thanks, guys. We'll see you next week. Cheers.
Au revoir. That's how I talk now. It's just how I talk.
You're the worst.